Hi, and welcome back to the You Amaze Me recording with myself, Amanda Baker. This is the space where story meets soul and soul meets story. And it is a wonderful pleasure to have a guest with us today. We have the lovely Lindsey Lockett. I'm going to read a little bit about her and then we'll go right into our authentic conversation. So, Lindsey is a trauma integrator, nervous system truth teller, and a relational weaver who helps people alchemize conflict into connection and co-authenticity. Love that. She is also a recovering overfunctioner who finally got disgusted with her own bullshit and started to underfunction. I relate, and I've been following along with that trek too. But Lindsey is known for no nonsense clarity, sharp wit, big compassion, mask off authenticity. Relational weaving is her passion. Life is a living, breathing embodiment of someone, or her life is a living, breathing embodiment of someone who believes that relational healing is the holiest work we can do. She's the founder of Rooted Web, a global women's community devoted to authenticity, reciprocity, and embodied relationship. As a human design projector, she has a gift for making the hard stuff feel simple, grounded, and even a little playful, and for guiding people to recognize their own patterns without shame, reclaim their relational power, and weave repair and authenticity into life-giving relationships, which is really clear from your Instagram page. That's how I met you. And you've described yourself so well, and it shines through on my end, which really just shows your authenticity. So welcome to this space. It's wonderful to have you.
Thank you for having me, Amanda. It's a pleasure to
Yeah.
be here.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I want to get right into it. I've been following you for a while now and really have watched just the progression of your nervous system work, the relational work, the overfunctioning and underfunctioning, opening space up to men, your devotion to women, and then more recently anger. So I wanted to get right into that and feel free to start wherever's fitting.
Oh, let's go. Yeah, let's go. I mean, anger is the thing that finally got me out of overfunctioning. So, when nothing else, when all the conversations and trying to be gentle and calm and ask for what I need and all the things, it was just I finally just had to get pissed off and learn how to channel that energy so that I wasn't using my anger to attack my husband's
Mm.
character or his masculinity, or to really just try to attack the pattern instead of the person is what I had to learn how to do with my anger. And so I'm happy to say that I am no longer in a relationship where I am the overfunctioner and my partner is the underfunctioner. In fact, in the last 6 months, we've kind of switched.
Oh,
We
look at
switched roles a
that.
little bit.
Not surprising. Not surprising. Just how that balance beam can work in that way, or that seesaw scale. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
I feel
fluctuates.
like we were so out of balance for so long that it's like I often compare a lot of our growth to the concept of thesis, antithesis, synthesis. And it's kind of the way a pendulum swings. And it's so if you start out over here, when you let go of the pendulum, it doesn't just fall and stop in the middle. It goes from all the way from this extreme, all the way over to this extreme. And then it goes back and forth until it finally balances out somewhere in the middle, which is, the midpoint. But yeah, we were all the way over here with me being the overfunctioner, him being the underfunctioner. And I feel like probably a couple months ago, we were all the way over here. And now it feels like we're sort of getting back to what balance feels like. But we don't even know what balance feels like because we've never had it,
We've
right?
never
We
had it.
don't even know.
Mhm. So it's so different and so new, and it sounds like you're embracing that unknown because you still haven't fully gotten there, and you're like, okay, we're working through these dynamics and having a better understanding of the patterns, which most people miss because they do kind of go into that attack mode of it's my partner's fault because they're not doing this and I'm
Mhm.
doing all of this. And so when we bring that to the light, when you have a name for it, like language is really important to even say, hey, I'm an overfunctioner. And I love the accountability that you place on people because I feel that that's not blame or attack. That's the way that we can feel empowered of, oh, I have ownership of myself, I can be responsible for my own tendencies
Yeah,
and
I have
patterns.
agency. Oh my gosh, I have agency.
Agency.
Like, yeah, I feel like I got angry in my relationship and that was a catalyst for change in my relationship, which I believe is truly the purpose of anger. Um, but I got a lot of women angry at me on the internet because as I'm like, hey, guess what? You have a choice about your level of functioning. Like, you are actually participating in the pattern because you can't have an overfunctioner without an underfunctioner to overfunction for.
Makes
So, like,
sense.
how about instead of focusing on everything they're not doing, how about you let your anger, that makes sense. It makes sense that it's there. It makes sense that, like, you don't want to be in this pattern anymore. But, like, you don't just have to leave your relationship because you don't want to be in a pattern anymore. Like, use your anger for the health of the relationship and use your anger to hold your lines, mostly with yourself,
Hmm.
about your level of functioning. And, like, you actually do have agency. You are choosing to participate in this. Anything that is a non survival task that you're doing, you're choosing to do it. So if you're exhausted and burned out and resentful because of all that you're doing, how about before you point the finger at him or her or them, how about you instead ask yourself, like, what part of this am I participating in, and what boundaries do I need to hold with myself around my level of functioning? And the reason why anger is such an important piece of that is because anger
Hmm.
is literally boundaries energy. Like,
Mm.
anger is the energy of boundaries. It is the energy of self-protection and assertiveness. And any relational pattern that you're fed up with and you want out of is going to require you to be assertive and to hold and set boundaries. So anger is really like the key that unlocks the door to correcting or getting out of these relational patterns that we find ourselves in. And so many women just, like, they don't know what the fuck to do with their anger. And, like, they get angry and it either comes out and they're like shrill and crying and they sound like a little girl who's begging to be seen, or it comes out like a
Or,
mother who's scolding, like,
mm,
I told you so, and here's how this is going to work, and I shouldn't have to be your mother, but ironically you're embodying the mother. Like,
you're playing the role.
right,
Hmm.
you're literally playing the role as you're scolding them about how you don't want to play the role. Or anger comes out as like an explosion and you are attacking, like, their character or their worth or their value or their masculinity or their femininity or something like that, instead of the anger actually being directed where you need it to go to attack the pattern. Or often women swallow the anger and then they
Right.
feel super
Hmm.
resentful, which makes sense because resentment is literally anger plus time. So it's just like however long you've been swallowing that anger and, like, telling yourself you shouldn't say something because it's not going to matter anyway, or
Hmm.
you've already said it before or whatever. Like, that anger energy, you're not giving it any place to go. So it just piles up in the body as a bunch of resentment. And then you're like, I wonder why I want to leave this relationship?
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yes.
really, like trying to help women not, like, unhook anger from however they've expressed it in the past that hasn't gotten them what they want, or it hasn't gotten them what they want, and after they express their anger, like, they completely lose respect for themselves because
Mm.
they turn into a version of themselves that afterwards they feel a lot of shame for. They
Shame.
feel
Hmm.
really bad because they actually really hurt someone in their anger. They still feel more resentful because even though they express their anger and maybe they express their boundaries, they're not holding it. And, like, I can't tell you how many times, even I'm sure maybe you've done this too, but how many times a woman will tell her man, like, I'm just done. I can't do this anymore. And then 2 days later, she's back
Yep.
doing whatever it
Yep.
was she was doing. And so it's like, bitch, your own nervous system doesn't believe you. Why would they believe you? Your own body doesn't believe you because you say, I can't do this anymore. And then you go right back to doing it. And it's
Hmm.
because you're not holding that charge of anger and actually letting it accomplish what it's supposed to accomplish, which is either one, it's going to catalyze change in the relationship or in the other person, or two, your anger is going to reveal that they do not have the capacity or the willingness to change. And it's going to reveal both really fast. And I think a lot of women aren't really willing to experiment with that and
And
actually see
face that.
what happens, you know?
Yes.
I'm a 1-3 in human design, which is like the fuck around and find out profile. So I feel like my whole life, but especially like this work with overfunctioning and anger has really been one giant experiment because I went looking for resources on overfunctioning and not overfunctioning and like found all of these articles written by like counseling centers and therapists and whatever
Mm-hmm.
else. And they literally didn't even describe like anger as a necessary emotion to hold boundaries with
Interesting.
oneself about not over functioning. And I was just like,
Ooh,
oh
that's
boy.
powerful. Yes. Well, and it really it speaks to the value and the wisdom of anger that has been to me like so rejected. It's an emotion that has been really associated with shame or aggression, a threat, versus really seeing it as, what you're okay with, what you're not okay with, and being able to follow through with a boundary. And some clients of mine, especially women, they've never even considered what their boundaries even are. So they haven't even listed, and I myself, like taking the time of what does a boundary mean to me? What are the boundaries that are even important to me? May I identify them so that that being that first step, so that I can start to step into actually following through on them.
Yeah. And also, like, you can't just have that conversation with yourself once because your boundaries
Mm,
change based on your capacity,
true.
right? So, in one season of life, I might not need as many boundaries because I have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
capacity. And then I get into a season of life where my capacity is waning and I need more boundaries and I need to speak up more for myself about what I can't do or what I can't tolerate. And that boundary conversation isn't just a one and done thing.
Mm,
It's an ongoing relationship with your body relative to whatever your capacity is at that time.
makes sense. Yes. And so, like your own relationship with anger, to also explore how you experience anger within yourself and within your body, because that too, for many people that are disconnected from that and don't realize, hey, maybe anger is running the show and you're not even tuned in or aware of it as well. So, how do you help women? Because I'm really hearing this interrelationship between nervous system, emotions, functioning and over functioning, like those survival patterns that develop, and then kind of the work that you're doing to unravel that.
Yeah, so the work I'm doing to help women unravel their anger is giving them a safe place to come and actually feel anger and then to experiment with different expressions of it and then to check in and go, how did that feel? Did that feel like it was in your integrity? And that's really what I want to
Mm-hmm.
couple anger with. Like I want to
Okay.
unhook anger from anger is bad. If I am angry, I am
Yep.
bad. If
Yep.
someone feels some kind of way about my expression, it must mean I said it the wrong way. If someone tone polices me or dismisses me, it must mean I need to work on my delivery and try again. If someone doesn't understand, it's my responsibility to over explain so that they can understand. Like unhooking anger from all of that
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
hooking anger together with integrity. With
Love that.
meaning like authenticity is my inner truth expressed outwardly. My inner truth is what determines my values. My inner truth is what determines my capacity. My inner truth is what determines my boundaries. And so, if I am being authentic and if I am being in my integrity, then I am allowing those things to be expressed outwardly. And they're not just concepts inside of me that no one else
Mm-hmm.
gets to experience or witness. They're concepts inside of me that I have to express in order to embody my authentic self in this world. And so, we have to learn then what does integrity actually feel like
Sure.
because you can express anger in the healthiest way possible and somebody can still be pissed or butthurt
True.
or dismissive or they can tone police you or whatever, and if you let their reaction or their response to your expression dictate whether or not you did it right, you're already out of integrity because you're outsourcing that knowing to someone else. And so I teach women how to find what integrity and authenticity feels like and then learn how to hold the charge of anger and direct it where they want to go inside of that. So we're hooking anger and integrity together. And when we're expressing anger like a scolding mother or like a defense attorney trying to prove a case or swallowing it or a little girl or any of those other expressions, like
Hmm.
none of that is within our integrity. Like none of that.
Right.
No one could ever tell me, oh yeah, it's like completely authentic for me to over explain myself whenever I'm pissed. I would be
No,
like, no, it's not.
no, it's not.
Like, yeah, like it's not. And so really it's not really even about anger. It's about authenticity. All of my work is
Hmm.
about authenticity, like over functioning, not authentic for you. So let's figure out how to unravel that. Self abandonment, not authentic for you. Let's figure out how to unravel that. Expressing anger in a way that doesn't get you what you want, or not expressing it at all, not authentic, not going to get you what you want. Let's fix that. So it really, all of my work literally comes back to whatever is standing in the way of you being your authentic self, whatever those survival patterns are, like let's unwind them out of your body so that you can express more of that inner truth outwardly.
And I can tell, and it's probably why I've been so drawn to you in my own experience of challenges of being authentic as a therapist, because of the system that says you must do therapy this sort of way, like the
I,
struggles of following
mm,
evidence-based practices, and starting to step into like, this doesn't feel right to me and I keep getting angry. There we go. Job after job after job. And so what, like, what has been, I guess, like just the beauty too of each thing that I've witnessed that you've shared is how each of those things really go back to that core of authenticity. It's like, as you're figuring it out in your life, in your relationship, like, oh my God, I've been over functioning, this is happening in my relationship, let me share it as it's happening, right? That relational between you and your partner, but also between you and your community that you've created. Like, you're going through it and then sharing, modeling with them. And some of them are following like along with you on your timeline. Some of them are further back. And so just to really, I think, hold that space of realness, of our humanness too. And a part of that is going to have like criticism from people who it's triggering towards, right? Authenticity is like also super triggering to
yep.
people who
Oh, it's
find it
wildly,
intimidating.
wildly triggering. Yeah.
Yes.
I made a post like, I don't know, a year and a half ago or something that was like, authenticity is wildly polarizing. Like people either love you and your authenticity or
Mm-hmm.
people hate you and your authenticity. Like it is either magnetic or it is like repellent, like
Mm-hmm.
I really do not find that authenticity exists in the gray, like at all. I
Yeah.
really find that authenticity is something that in another person, you're either really drawn to it or you're like, ugh, and if you're like me, when you feel the ick from someone else's authenticity, you use that as a moment to be
Yes.
self-aware and to be like, okay, what about their authenticity is giving
Yes.
me the ick? And it is that expression of their authenticity giving me the ick because it's not aligned with my values. Therefore, me expressing it in that way would not be an integrity for me. And this is my
Mm-hmm.
body's way of letting me know that. Or is my ick about their authenticity a mirror that's being held up for me to look in and go,
Yep.
I wonder what
What's
the
going
truth
on?
is about this, And
Yes. Yeah.
like that process of curious self inquiry is like constantly present for me because believe it or not, like the more healing you do, you don't actually become less sensitive. I think you actually become more sensitive. And
More.
I had this idea that like, oh, I'm finally going to get to this place where I'm just not as sensitive all the time. It hasn't happened. I've actually gotten more sensitive. But that's a gift, I feel like, because
Yes.
the more sensitive I am, the more discerning I can be. And then the more I'm able to like make an authentic choice about what feels aligned and what doesn't feel aligned for me. And I don't have to make it that other person's fault for how they are
Mm-hmm.
to decide for myself, like, that is so cool if they do that. And if that's what they want to say and that's how they are, like, awesome. That doesn't feel aligned for me. But like, I don't need to make them bad or to other them in order to like stay in my own truth,
Stay.
which is
Mm-hmm.
what the ego loves to do, right? The ego likes to create a like me versus them. And I need to make sure everyone knows I'm not like that. And like, I don't think that's authentic for anyone either.
No, no, me either. It just places that like that division, so we can let authenticity, right, be black and white, but
Hmm.
kind of allow that grayness between you and someone else.
Yes. Yes. Because not
Yeah.
everyone is meant for you and not everyone is meant
No.
for me. And we have to stop taking that personally. Like there comes a point, and truly, I have severe abandonment trauma from my childhood, severe. But there comes a point whenever I have to stop living in that abandonment wound of like, oh my God, I'm so afraid you're going to leave me. And I have to be willing to fuck around with being my true self and then find out who sticks around for that. I would far rather do that than abandon myself, which really just repeats the abandonment trauma, except I'm doing it to myself. You know, like, why would I repeat that on myself when it was so horrible for me to experience?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that abandoned girl anymore. I'm a 40, almost 43-year-old woman at this point. Like, if somebody doesn't want to be in relationship with me, I don't have to feel abandoned by them. Like, that can be
Exactly.
okay, because I would far rather us be able to be honest about our
Mm-hmm.
capacity for each other than to do the stupid, song and dance, fake surface level shit that so many people do in their relationships because they just don't know how to be real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to be real, and I would say how to feel. Because, like, I
Yeah.
think you first need to feel like, oh, there's moving through this means I have to feel that abandonment wound to then reach that point, like you said, where it's like, it's okay if we're not aligned.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're
So,
abandoning me.
and it doesn't mean exactly, exactly.
Yeah, I've gotten in trouble on the internet for saying things like, we often, like, when people talk about how, oh, they were gaslit, or they were tone policed, or their reality was denied, or they were dismissed, or like whatever. Like, those things happen. That's very sad. It's shitty that people do that to us.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Mm-hmm.
think that women especially see themselves in that victim role a lot. And like, I call that victim role out constantly. And so I get blamed for victim blaming all the time, ironically.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I see it is like, yes, at one time you absolutely were a victim. When you were a child and you had no agency and you really were powerless and you couldn't leave and you couldn't fight back and you couldn't set boundaries, and like, you just adapted and you couldn't be authentic because it literally wasn't safe. But now you're an adult, and if you're not in an abusive or coercive relationship, then it's not actually unsafe for you to be authentic. You're conflating a lack of comfort with a lack of safety. And we need to
Mm-hmm.
unhook those things as
That as well.
well.
Yes.
But
Yes.
we also aren't like, okay, so they tried to gaslight you. Like, this is what I would say to a client who's like, "Oh, but they gaslit me and that's so abusive and harmful." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, they tried to gaslight you. Where was your discernment to know you were being gaslit?" Yeah, they tone policed you. Where was your discernment to know that that's a tactic to deflect from the original issue and make your delivery the problem? And you let yourself get sidetracked with that instead of staying with the original issue and holding your line. Like, that's the
Mm.
fucking level of
That's where the
responsibility.
boundary.
That's
Mm-hmm.
the level of responsibility and accountability that women have to embody inside of ourselves, outside of anyone else. It's not, oh, poor me, they gaslit me. It's, I have a responsibility to develop discernment to know when those manipulative tactics are being tried on me.
Mm.
Like, that there's no victimhood in that. There's no,
Not
that's
at
the
all.
most empowering thing ever. But as long as we're like, oh, you're victim blaming people, then we're just creating more of a culture that needs the internet and the whole world to be a padded room in order for people to feel okay. And that's
Yeah.
completely unrealistic.
Unrealistic to constantly manage and control in order to feel comfort. And it's really not. We're not here to stay in our comfort zone. We don't evolve and grow if we stay inside of our comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lovely place, but
Mm.
no growth happens there.
Yeah, you can go there sometimes, but yeah,
Yeah, for
have
sure.
again, have that balance. Have that balance. I am curious then, because I think many like do hear you and can have that discernment. Like they can know, oh man, this is the point where I'm being tone policed, I'm being gaslit, or again, that you just know, like, why am I entertaining this, right? Like if you just know that's not authentic to you, but you for some reason through repeated patterns keep kind of showing up to something that's not
Hmm.
healthy or serving you.
Hmm.
And let's say this person knows that they want to be done, but their body keeps going back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All the time. All the time. Because, like, for all the wonderful things that I think social media and YouTube and the internet and Google have given us, like access to resources and information that generations before us couldn't even dream of, right? Like you
Hmm.
want to know how to do anything, you can find out how to do it on your own, right? So like amazing that we have access to all those resources,
Yes.
podcasts, books, amazing that we have access to all those resources. But what I've noticed is that people get into a very like information consumption. And they're like, oh, if I'm not able to embody what I want, it must mean I need more understanding and information.
Mm.
So I must need to learn more about anger. I must need to learn more about self abandonment. I must need to learn more about my attachment style. I must need to learn more about my nervous system or like whatever. And so they
Yeah.
keep taking in information, which is all stored up
All that's
here
what I was
in
like. It's
the
all
head.
here.
And then they're like, well, shit, why isn't it translating to me being
Yep.
something different? Right. And
Yep.
it's like, because information doesn't equal embodiment. You don't
Hmm.
have a comprehension problem, you have a practice problem. Like all that information that you have in your head doesn't do any good for you if that moment that that information was supposed to prepare you for shows up and you don't know how to do something different. Like
Exactly.
you literally have to practice training your nervous system out of its predictable survival reflex. You're not going to listen to this podcast and suddenly know how to embody
Right.
anger. Like it's just not
Yep.
possible. The concepts can sound great. You can resonate with everything that we're talking about. You can resonate with everything I post on the internet, and you
Hmm.
still won't be able to embody something different because information creates clarity, but information doesn't create capacity. And
Exactly.
we're mixing up or we're conflating clarity and capacity, and we're like, oh, I know the pattern, I can describe it, I know when it's happening, I know what it feels like, I have language for it, I have all this stuff. Cool, that's clarity. But do
Hmm.
you have the capacity to embody something different in that moment when you're standing in front of another nervous system and both of you are triggered as fuck? that
Huh?
is that is where the information doesn't matter. Like your brain isn't referencing all the facts that you have stored in your head in that moment. All it knows is survival reflex. It'll predictably get me out of this discomfort, whatever the survival
Hmm.
reflex is. It will allow me to not feel this. So that's the reflex. That's what we have to retrain. That only happens through like reps and practice. It's just like going to the
Agreed.
gym and trying to build muscles. Like you've got to
Agreed.
go and train for that. You know, you can't just consume information about it and think that that's going to be enough.
Yes. Yeah, I 100% agree. And that's where I kind of practice for myself with my clients. What I believe I witness for you too is, you have the container of your community where you're like, here's information, maybe here's some practices that you probably do together, but also, okay, I'm sending you out into the real world and you got to put it into practice there as well. So whether it's intentional, again, this is more my belief of, okay, maybe daily practices of doing things with your body, if it's breath, if it's movement, if it's dance, if it's going outside, but then also in the moment, real time, I'm being triggered. And am I willing to stay with that feeling? And that might not be pretty and beautiful. It might not be I'm sitting and I'm breathing and I'm calm. Like it might be I'm hysterically
Yeah.
crying and having a tantrum, but that's okay. Like it's okay because that means you're moving through it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're human. You're human. And it's not that the tantrum itself is bad. It's
Right.
where is the energy of that tantrum being directed? Right? It's if
Mm-hmm.
people get so focused on the what, and I think this just speaks to our like capitalistic patriarchal culture that just monitors people's behavior and likes to label behavior. It's like I don't actually care what the behavior is. I care
Mm-hmm.
how do you feel when you're doing it and why are you doing it? Those are the questions. How does it feel and why are you doing it? So it's not, oh, you're throwing a tantrum. That's bad, Amanda. You need to learn how to heal and express yourself without
Yep.
throwing a tantrum. It's, okay, how do you feel when you're throwing that tantrum? Because if that is like a buildup of energy that's been there for a long time and it needs to move, like
Yep.
it's probably going to be big if you haven't let that move in a long time. Um, so is that your why? Is the why that like you need this other person to see how much their inaction or their pattern has impacted you, and like this expression is going to show them that? Is that why you're doing it? Because if yes, girl, do it. Do it.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're throwing a tantrum because you like want to emasculate them or like attack their character or
Mm.
attack their value or whatever, like now the why is, well, I want them
Right.
to feel bad because I feel bad. And now we've crossed
Yeah.
that line out of integrity, right? Because
Yes.
integrity doesn't
Yep.
punish. Integrity doesn't
Yep.
get revenge, you know?
Huge, huge distinction. And that I think is so powerful. If we can have the same outward expression and behavior, but the why, the intent, the energy behind it is so important to be curious about, to identify, because that's going to be felt. If that person's witnessing you, they're going to feel, oh, this is to attack me or to manipulate me, or this is to be seen in a
Yeah.
person's humanness. Mm.
Absolutely. And I think too, like, you know, I when I was really new to the nervous system, I would say like around 2020, probably 2021 maybe. I was new. I was just coming on as a coach and whatever else. And like I definitely gave people the advice like, you know, if you're feeling dysregulated or triggered before you go talk to that other person, regulate yourself first, right? You know, regulate first, regulate first, regulate first. And I no longer believe that. Like I
Mhm.
think that was terrible advice. I take it back. I'm really sorry to anyone listening if you ever heard me say that and you took my advice, because I no longer believe that. And it's not that I don't believe in regulation. I do believe in nervous system regulation, but the word regulation has started to mean something that it's not. And the
Mm.
word regulation never meant keep yourself under control. The word regulation never meant you can only deliver whatever you've got to deliver when you're calm and peaceful. And
Mm.
I feel like the language of the nervous system is so valuable, but like other language, it gets misused and it gets misappropriated.
Yep.
And now the word regulation has lost its original meaning, very much in the same way as the word harm has lost its original meaning and the word abuse has lost its original meaning. I feel like even the word narcissist has lost its meaning because now
I
everybody's a
sense that
fucking
too.
narcissist, right? And it's like, no, no, actually, that's a clinical term that you can't just broad apply to like everyone who is manipulative or whatever, you know, like
Hmm.
everyone
Yep.
has, I can be a manipulative person and I am
Yes.
not a
We all have
narcissist, you
those
know?
traits.
Right.
Yes. I agree.
So,
I agree.
so like we're using these words and they, even the word like trauma, I feel like has been like misused. And now it's like anything bad that happens to me or anytime I'm uncomfortable or anytime someone disagrees with me, oh my God, that's
Hmm.
trauma in my body, you know? And like we're creating again, I said it before, but it's like everybody wants the world to be a padded room now. And like we can't be authentic and live in a padded room. You know, we can't have both. So we
Have
have to
both. Yep.
choose. Do I want to stay comfortable at the expense of my authenticity? Or am I willing to be authentic and risk that it might piss some people off? Somebody might feel some kind of way about it. And like I also think too that there is a huge lack of people in intimate emotional relationships. I'm not even talking about partnerships. I'm talking about like long-term friendships or siblings or family relationships. But like I feel like there's this thing in long-term relationships where we stop giving each other the benefit of the doubt after a while and it's like you know, this person has been with you for 20 years. Like, clearly, they have shown that they are committed and they have shown that they're loyal and they've shown that they're there. And they may not show up perfectly and they may have been in a pattern with you for however many, for the whole
Hmm.
20 years,
Hmm.
right? But I think that, like, we're doing ourselves a disservice to be like, not assuming the best in each other when we're in conflict, especially in long term, emotionally intimate relationships. And what I mean by that is like, I taught about this the other day. Um,
Hmm.
take the term gaslighting, for example, because that's like also a word that has lost its original meaning, I think. Like, there is a difference between a narcissist who truly is manipulative and coercive and is actually gaslighting you to deny your reality so that they can have control over you and a partner who is really triggered by your truth or by what you've shared and they don't know how to validate that before they're like, well, that's not what happened. That's not how I see it. I see it a different way. I experienced it a different way. They don't have that language. And so, in their defense, like, I'm not saying the reaction is appropriate, but I'm saying we're
Sure.
conflating two completely different things.
I got it.
if my husband is like, babe, that's not how that happened. Like, I remember it happening like this. And I'm like, don't gaslight me. Like, come on now.
You're not
Like,
getting anywhere. Yes. Yeah.
he's
There's
not
different
gaslighting
perspectives.
me. He may be like, I see it differently, and may not have the language to say that, or may not know how to be like, oh, I hear that this was your perspective of it. Can I share my perspective of it now? Right. Which is like
Hmm.
the mature, emotionally intelligent or whatever way to say it. But like, again, our discernment, right? Like, my discernment tells me that when my husband is like saying something like that, he's not trying to manipulate me. So I can give him the benefit of the doubt, and I can be like, your long-term behavior over the course of our relationship matters more than whatever's happening in this moment. And like, I don't know you to be a person who actually tries to manipulate me and coerce me, but I do know you to be a person who needs to work on like validating my feelings before you share your own, you know? And so
Sure.
it's like
Yes.
the
I hear that.
nitty-gritty details that it really does take a lot of nervous system capacity to hold the difference between those two things, because people call both of those things gaslighting,
Yeah.
right? But it
Yes.
takes capacity to hold nuance. And if your nervous system doesn't have capacity and your nervous system feels threatened by whatever, the fastest way that it is going to protect you is by going into a binary mode where it's like, it's
Hmm.
either this or it's this, because that simplifies everything. That's a survival decision that's being made. Almost nothing, authenticity maybe, but almost nothing is black and white like that, right? Almost nothing is
Right.
binary in that way. And so we have to build capacity in our nervous systems to even be able to like be in emotionally intimate relationships and discern what is happening and be able to hold that nuance and that complexity and give the other person the benefit of the doubt, which I feel is sorely lacking in today's relational climate.
Really. And because my sense is that so many people will, it's easier, or again, from a survival stance, to put them in as they're the bad person. If
Yes.
they're the bad, I mean, that's
Yep.
ego, right? Then I'm good.
Othering. Yep.
Othering,
Yeah.
the othering versus like holding the nuance, holding that complexity, holding that polarity where, I mean, really that's what, when there's that polarity and you can stay with it and recognize what's happening in your body, the other person hopefully can do that in theirs, then you can come back together, and then your relationship is more nourished. The quality improves
Yeah.
when you're able
Yeah.
to have that like discernment and the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
And,
you mm,
and anger gets you there too, because your anger is there to, like, when they do something that inevitably bumps up against you, like it bumps up against your need or your truth or your yes or your no or your capacity or whatever, like that anger is there as a message for you first, and then for that other person should you choose to need to express it outwardly. But that anger is there to let you know, hey, that's not okay with me. Right? Like,
yeah.
it's your body doesn't speak in words, and in language. The language of your body is sensation. And so when you feel that anger energy, and for me, I get, really hot in my face and my chest, and my armpits get itchy, which is like a weird thing that happens, but
Yeah,
I get like itchy armpits and
interesting.
super
Uh-huh.
hot. That's what anger really feels like for me. Anger is a fast energy, and sometimes it's loud and sometimes it's spicy. And anger is just there as your body's way of being like, I can't tell you this in English words, but I can give you
Hmm.
this sensation of heat and sweaty armpits, so that, or itchy armpits, so that you know that whatever just happened is not okay with you, or that it's a no, or you need to hold a line, or like you are allowed to exist as I'm allowed to exist as I am. And when you bump up against me, my anger is there to hold my line and allow me to exist as I am. Right. And so, like, it really is supposed to get us what we want. Our anger is,
Hmm.
or reveal that the other person isn't capable of getting us what we want. And like, when it reveals, like, I acknowledge that some people might not like what their anger reveals. Like, I acknowledge the grief in like wanting to make a
Yes.
relationship work, letting your anger hold a line, and then finding out that that person was never willing to meet you, or they never had the capacity to make that change. And so, yes, your anger will reveal things you don't like sometimes, but it's revealing the truth. We don't
Yeah,
always like the
for
truth.
you.
Right. It's
Hmm.
revealing the truth
Hmm.
for you. And then you, as a powerful woman with agency, get to decide what you're going to do with that truth. So if your anger has revealed the other person's lack of capacity or lack of willingness, or maybe they have the capacity and they are willing, but it's not authentic for them to change in that way for you, right? Like we have
Sure.
to honor their authenticity too. And sometimes our authenticity just isn't compatible, and nobody has to be a bad person because of that. So when your anger inevitably reveals the truth, you as a woman with agency get to decide, what am I going to do with this truth?
What will
Like
I do
you
with it?
have
Mm-hmm.
power the whole time. You are never
Mm.
without power. So what am I going to do with this truth? Can I continue to stay in this relationship with the valuable information that I have, knowing that this other person is not capable or willing or authentic to meet me in this? Can I stay without abandoning myself? Can I stay and still be authentic? Right? We have the power the
Powerful
whole
question.
time.
Yes. I think that question is really worth people taking in and exploring with themselves.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, because
Thank you for,
I think that when we don't sit with that question of like, okay, here's my anger has revealed the truth. What am I going to do with it? Like there's fear in being angry because I think women intuitively know when my anger holds a line, I am going to find
hmm
out something I don't want to find out. I am going to
hmm
find out the truth I've been suspecting all along, which is that they're not willing or they're not capable or it's not authentic for them to meet me in this way. And like, I so validate the grief of that and I validate the
hmm
fear of that. And also by continuing to live in that fear, you are abandoning yourself and your own authenticity to find out the truth later that you probably already know now.
that you already knew. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Your intuition's there. Most people kind
Yeah.
of know what it's saying. They're just not ready. And that's okay, right? That it's okay to have your own pacing. But I think it's important to say your intuition's got you as well. And that as sensation.
Yes, absolutely. That's a sensation too. Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering if you're willing to share how your anger started to come about through this like under functioning, over functioning dynamic. What did you first notice or experience for yourself?
So I became more aware of my overfunctioning probably starting in 2024. Um, I don't actually remember, but I was going through some old Instagram content and I came across a post from 2024 where I wrote overfunctioning in the caption. And I don't even remember writing that in the
Wow.
caption. But I was
I've
like,
done that too.
okay.
Like, oh,
I was
that
like,
was important.
yeah, this was already in my awareness at this point. And
hmm
like, I wasn't even, it was like another 6 months before I really got into it, but it was like, it
Wow.
was already there. So, it really looked like my anger for most of my relationship with my husband, and we've been together for 25 years. So my anger for most of that 25 years was mother anger, where I emasculated him, scolded him, lectured him, or it was like defense attorney anger, where I was like, here are all the facts and I'm going to prove everything to you. And here's the order of events. And you said this and I said this and you said
Mm.
this and I, right? Like, so I'm like, here's all the facts. Here's my evidence to present my case. Or my anger came out as just like over explaining and just like, I'm going to give you 5 analogies. Oh, you still don't get it? I'll give you 10 more. Like, let me see how many different ways I can explain this so that you'll get it, because I was taking the responsibility for him to get it instead of being like, I've said it once, you figure it out. And so that was the version of my anger that he got. And I cannot say that my husband ever tone policed me or dismissed me or even denied my reality. That has never, ever, ever happened. But I wasn't clear in my own energy and in my own expression, meaning I wasn't clearly saying, here's what I'm no longer available for, and here's what I'm going to do with myself the next time it happens.
The boundary.
Instead, I was using my anger energy to over explain and prove and lecture and do all the things that I was saying before.
Gotcha.
I've never been a swallower of anger. I would say more with female friends, I've been a swallower of anger, but with my partner, I've never been a swallower of anger. He's always like known when there's something wrong. But I learned starting in 2025, I started learning that I was wasting a lot of energy expressing my anger in this way. And that if I continued to do it this way, I was never going to get what I wanted, because if over explaining or coaching him or being passive aggressive or whatever, if that was going to work, it would have
Yeah.
already worked. Because I
Yeah.
have over 2 decades of fucking around and finding out that that doesn't work. Right. So I just started to see within myself, like, okay, I actually don't have the power to change him, but I do have the power to change myself. And so my anger at first came out as like rage.
Mm.
I mean, yelling. I threw a jar and broke it on the floor one day. I didn't throw it at him, but I threw it on the floor
Mhm.
and broke it. And it was just this like fire of literally just like, I cannot fucking do this anymore. You either need to get your shit together and figure it out, or I'm done. Like it
Mm.
really was this just power. And
I
it
feel that.
wasn't like I said it in an ultimatum kind of way. It was my boundary of like, if this continues, I have to be done with this because I am abandoning myself all the
Yes.
time.
Mm.
Like, and it's not, I love that man. I am committed to that man. I love the life I have with him. I love him on every fucking level. But the underfunctioning was out of control and my overfunctioning was out of control. And I had to stop participating in my side of the pattern, whether he stopped participating in his side or not. And so, me holding that line with myself, like, oh, it was hard. It was
Sure.
hard. Like, I remember vividly this last summer. Um, David and I had started this experiment. We called it purposeful underfunctioning. It was an experiment for me for that I was just like, because I knew if I was going to underfunction, he had to consent to that. Like, because I overfunctioned and he underfunctioned and neither one of us consented to those roles. So whenever
Hmm.
I like finally blew up with rage and was just like, here's the pattern. It's what I've been saying all along. I didn't have the words that I have now or the language or the awareness that I have, but I've got it now. So here's what I'm not here for anymore. Figure it out yourself. I'm done coaching you. I'm done doing it for you. I'm done explaining it to you. Like, you don't need me to use any more words. I need to see your action, or I cannot be in this relationship anymore because I continue to abandon myself, even though I love the shit out of you and I'm so committed to you and I love our life. I could not stop my own self from abandoning myself. So I remember when he was like, okay, let's do the purposeful underfunctioning thing. Like, let's
Mm.
see what happens. Within 2 weeks, he was like, babe, oh my God, I see it. I see it now. I see why you were so exhausted. I get it now. Like, I had to experience taking on everything that you were doing to understand what you were going through. Like, I'm so glad that we decided that you would underfunction so that I could experience the overwhelm. And he's like, I am so overwhelmed. And I am realizing that I got used to a standard of living that you made possible for me because of how
Mm.
much you did. And like, now I miss that standard of living and I'm exhausted to try to go create it for myself. And so, of course, I was like, fucking thank God.
Yes, of course.
And
Yes.
I remember, I think it was in like July or maybe August that like I decided the boundary that I had to hold with myself was, if I cannot do something without resentment, I'm not doing it at all. And so I remember one day I had asked my son, who's almost 22 and he lives at home, if he would
Hmm.
clean up the kitchen one day. And he said yes. I woke up the next morning, the kitchen was not clean. I went over to the sink. I remember like, like being really resentful and pissy about it. And I went over to the sink and I turned the faucet on and I went to pick up a dish and I came into awareness in that moment and I turned the water off and I put the dish down and I stepped away from the sink and I was like, I cannot do these dishes without resentment. I can't. So I walked away
So
and
you won't do it.
I let them be there. And I told my husband, because at that time, because he was the overfunctioner, he was the one that was like managing the kids and doing the delegating and all that, because before all of that fell on me. So then I went and told him and I was like, our son, like, he said he would clean the kitchen last night. He didn't clean the kitchen. I caught myself about to resentfully do it for him. And I
Hmm.
stepped back and I chose not to. So then my son and I did have a conversation later with my husband and we repaired and he cleaned the kitchen and whatever else. But that is the
Yes.
level of, some people might think that that's like little or, oh, it's the dishes. It's not that big of a deal or whatever. But when you're an overfunctioner and you are literally used to doing everything and spinning all these plates to keep life moving, And
Right.
then you actually stop and feel the resentment that's present that you probably normally ignore or you normally like push aside and you're just like, I just have to get these dishes done anyway. Like when you
Huh?
actually like sit with the heat and the slight itchy of the armpits and the resentment
Yes.
of that, and you're like, okay, like this is not the energy I need to be in to do the dishes. Like I can't. If I do the dishes right now, I am abandoning myself again to fix what someone else said they would do, but they didn't do. That's not who I am anymore. So if I'm going to embody something different, right? No podcast came into my head at that moment. No book I've ever read came into my head at that moment. No information was in my head. It was completely in my body, having a
It was you.
conversation with my body, feeling the
Mm-hmm.
resentment, acknowledging that it's there, and admitting to myself that to stay in my integrity, I could not wash those dishes.
Mm.
And I had to do that with literally every task for months so that I could develop the discernment to know when I was going into that over functioning automatically and that I could actually catch myself and stop myself from doing that without blaming anybody because I'm the one that chose to overfunction, right? Nobody
Mm.
made me do it. I chose it. It was a survival response. It wasn't my fault. I can acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But I carried it into my adult relationships long after the need to overfunction had expired, right?
Mm.
Overfunctioning for
Yeah.
my
It
parents
just
in my
it's
childhood,
continued.
right? Overfunctioning in my childhood it was necessary for me to live, literally. In
Yes.
my adult relationship with my very safe husband, that same pattern doesn't make sense anymore. It just doesn't make sense. So it's just that automatic survival reflex that no information would have helped me with. I had to repeatedly practice catching myself in
That's the
that energy
practice.
and redirecting reps, 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 reps again and again and again. And I can honestly say my nervous system no longer, like, I do not feel the overfunction urge anymore. Like, I don't feel it anymore. If I don't want to do something, I don't do it. If the dishes sit there for 3 days because I can't do them without resentment and I'm not willing to tell anyone else to do them, then the dishes sit there for 3 days. Like, I am so serious about holding my line with this because the second I don't hold my line with this, I go back into being that old version of myself. And that's not who I am anymore. I cannot guide women to embodying a truer version of themselves if I am not embodying my own truer version of myself,
I agree.
right?
I agree.
Like, I
Yes.
can't.
Yeah. So much commitment to yourself
Devotion.
in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
devotion. That's a better word.
Yeah.
Yes. that
Devotion.
that devotion, and it's, I'm sure, extremely hard because my sense would be that to not do those dishes or to not pick up the laundry or whatever can feel like a withdrawal or like a detox in your
Oh, yeah.
body.
Did you see my video
Mm-hmm.
that I posted about addiction, about
Addiction.
overfunctioning?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. Yep.
yes, it absolutely
Mm-hmm.
is. It absolutely is an addiction because, I mean, it literally is an addiction to your own dopamine. Because
Mm-hmm.
when you see a sink full of dishes and it bothers you that the dishes are there, and then you wash them, now your brain gives you that little hit of dopamine. So you get that sense of
Uh-huh.
satisfaction because you knocked something off the list, right? But the dopamine hit doesn't last very long. So as soon as it fizzles away and you don't have that dopamine anymore, brain is already looking for
Yeah.
something else to
The
do
next
to get
thing.
another hit of dopamine. So whenever you catch yourself again and again and again, and you don't allow yourself to do the thing, you don't get the dopamine hits. And when you
Mm.
don't get the dopamine hits that you're used to getting, all of a sudden you are in withdrawal from your own dopamine and it feels like shit.
Yep. Yep.
You
That's the
know,
devotion.
dude, I like I'm not even kidding. I don't even remember like August, September, and October because I was in like dopamine withdrawal during that time. I mean, I
Mm.
was functional. I was okay, but I
Yes.
remember feeling like depressed and low energy. And
Of course.
normally
Of
that August,
course.
September, October time of year is like a great time of year for me because the weather's amazing. I'm outside a lot, like all the things. But I like I was just
Yeah,
flat.
and
Like
it's
I was
it's
so flat.
sad. Yeah, that like the high or the dopamine hits was coming from like household tasks or managing
Compulsive viewing.
family, the compulsive doing versus like your aliveness from your passions and your
Yes.
joy of like, let me go play, let me
Yes.
get dopamine from a hug, like
Yes.
these other things. But you got to go through that withdrawal to then come out the other side.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
really is like an addiction. And I like
Mm.
in August, I sat down and recorded a video of myself that I did not share until winter. Like I kept it on my phone for a few months before I felt comfortable to share it. But I
Mm-hmm.
had to talk, like I like to talk into my camera even if I never share it because it's really helpful for
Same.
me to go back and witness myself. Like I think
Mm-hmm.
that self-witnessing is so important. And so I do often record myself, either audio or video. I record myself like when I'm and I don't record anyone else without their consent, obviously. But I've even gotten into the habit of like my husband and I can tell we're about to have a conversation that's going to probably be really good. And I'll be like, hey, I'm going to record this. Is that cool? And he's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's fine. But I think that that self-witnessing is so, so, so important. And for me, when I'm really in an embodied state, I go into a flow state and like my words come with so much ease and like so much wisdom oozes out of me, even if I'm in a conflict with someone. Like I'm so good at telling the truth, even when I'm in a conflict with someone, even when it's hard to let it come out.
Mm-hmm.
And like going back and watching that allows me to see from perhaps their perspective what experiencing me like that is like. And then it helps me not adjust my delivery to like please them, but helps me to adjust my delivery in a way that I am still staying in myself, but I'm also able to maintain an even stronger connection with them,
Mm.
if that makes sense. Because I want to stay in connection, even in
Yes,
conflict,
in
you know,
connection.
even in
Yes.
rupture, I want to be in connection with you. So my anger isn't even just about like prioritizing my needs and my boundaries and my yes and my no. It is doing that, but it's also prioritizing the health of the relationship. And it's like revealing the truth that if we want the relationship we say we want, then we can't keep doing this thing that we're doing because we're not
Mm-hmm.
getting what we want, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't remember where all I was going with that, but when I sat down to record the thing of myself, like I got this image of myself as I was talking, like being an alcoholic and standing at like a liquor store or a convenience
Huh.
store in front of like a cooler full of alcohol.
That's the video I saw. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yes.
got this I had this like vision of myself like standing in front of a giant cooler with all this alcohol in it and just like wanting it so bad. And then, and you know, it's literally like, I had to do this whenever I went through like an abandonment healing thing with my mom, like where I would like reach out to get my phone to like text my mom and I'd have to be like, no, like, no, like stop, you have to break it. And that's what it felt like. I'm like
Mm.
looking at this cooler full of liquor and it's like, oh, I want it so bad. I know it'll make me feel better. I know it'll
Mm-hmm.
taste good. Like, and it was like, no, like stop. You cannot do it. And it was like the withdrawal and I mean, I had more empathy for alcoholics than I've ever had in my life after that experience because I was like,
Sure.
at least an alcoholic can choose if they're going to get in their car and drive to the store and go spend their money on the alcohol. Like, this is literally an addiction to my own neurochemistry.
Mm.
Like, I can't
Wow.
just I can't just not go to the store and
And
buy
take the
this.
substance.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So like
Yes.
I am like in this really like this is fucked up where I'm addicted to my own neurotransmitters and I have to like stop myself from the
Mm-hmm.
behavior that
Mm-hmm.
gets me the fix that I think I want.
It's wild and it's embedded in so much. Do you think it's going back since we talked about you know, the over functioning being your own self abandonment? Could there be a layer or a level of if if I don't overfunction or caretake or mother for this person, then I will be abandoned by them.
Oh, that's definitely there.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that might be where it comes from as to
Yeah.
why, like the abandonment wound in general, just showing up of I care more about them not abandoning me
Yep.
than maybe I do myself
Yep.
abandoning me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't feel that way with my husband, but like I definitely feel that way with some female friends.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Like I know at this point that my husband's not going to leave me. Like there's nothing on this planet
And
that
that's
I
why
could
you could
do.
take the risk.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
like that you could do this
Yes,
together.
I am so
It's more
secure in my
secure. It's
partnership
so
that
secure.
I can fuck around and find out, and I know he's not going to leave me. I feel like I have security in adult female friendships, but I don't live with them. I'm not married to them. Like it's a
Mm-hmm.
different level of intimacy, I think, but I am starting to fuck around and find out a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, actually I'm planning on doing a really scary thing, which is telling a couple of my friends that I hang out with the most often that actually I just need like a month of not hanging out. And it's not because of
Right.
anything that they've done wrong. It's
Uh-huh.
literally
Uh-huh.
me, and it's me like sensing that my nervous system capacity is kind of low. And it always is at this time of year. Like I finally told my husband, I was
Sure.
like, I need to figure out a way to just take January and February off every year.
The winter.
There's
Mm-hmm.
no
Mm-hmm.
fucking point. Like February is insane. Everyone I know is insane in February. I live in Minnesota. We've all been inside for months. And in
Mm-hmm.
February, it's like we're just on the edge of spring and everybody's like, could it
Yeah.
be spring already? You know, and it's just like, I just need to not do anything in February. Really, I just need to not do anything. So I was telling David that I need to figure out a way to like make it so that I don't have to do anything in the month of February. And he's like, okay, cool. Good luck. And I just lost my train of thought. Shit. What was I
Telling your
talking
friends,
Oh my
telling your
God.
friends that you're not hanging
Right.
out.
Yes.
I
Thank you.
gotcha.
So yeah. And I think like, I just don't want to be social in winter either. Like, I really just
Mm-hmm.
want to
Mm-hmm.
hibernate and like lay in bed and watch Bridgerton. Like, really. And that's okay.
And that's
But it
okay.
feels really scary because I've never asked for this before. I have
Okay.
never, ever said, nothing is wrong. You didn't do anything. I'm not mad at you. This is just something I need for me. Like, I just need a break from hanging out and from socializing for like at least until March, you know? Like, I just need that
Mm-hmm.
break. And I'm terrified. I'm terrified because
Of
I am
course. I get it.
terrified that they're going to think like that I'm mad at them and I don't want to be their friend anymore. And then what if
Mm-hmm.
we have that month apart? And then what if we don't reconnect?
And then you don't. That, right. Whether or not they think any of those things, there's
Right.
still the risk. Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
So to be in my own integrity in these friendships, knowing that I need this space,
Yes.
I have to say something and I have to risk that they might feel some kind of way about it. But if I'm not being authentic, then I'm not going to ask for that. And then I'm not in
Mm-hmm.
integrity in that friendship. And I'm pretending
Yep.
to be someone that I'm not. And I love them too much and I love myself too much to do that. So
To
I'm
do
willing,
that.
it's scary as fuck, but I'm
Yes, it
willing
is.
to take the risk and be like, look, you guys, just can we please just take a break from hanging out for like a month? I just need some solid time alone, you know?
Mm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
am
Mm-hmm.
scared to do it, but I know that if I don't do it, the like my integrity is how I sleep at night, knowing I'm in integrity in relationships. When I know I'm out of integrity, like I have to make it right with that person or I don't sleep otherwise. Like literally, it just keeps me up. And so I know that if I don't tell the truth and I just keep doing our regular hangouts like I always do, like I'm not honoring that friendship. I'm not honoring
Mm-hmm.
the intimacy of that friendship and I'm not honoring my integrity or that person by not telling the truth about what I need. So I think that I'm going to tell the truth and it's probably going to be fine. But
Yeah.
my body is telling a different story, which is like
Right.
we're scared shitless to
Yeah.
ask for this.
Understandable. Understandable.
So
Because
yeah,
that's what it's used to. But it's
yeah,
that goes back to that devotion. It
yeah,
really
it
does.
does.
Yes.
And authenticity is it's a big game of risk. It really is because as
Mm-hmm.
long as you're staying true to yourself, you are risking that will bump up into somebody else and that they might not want to be around you anymore because of that or they might not like you anymore because of that. And as I say, like that's really sad, but it's also really valuable information cuz like wouldn't you want to
Mm-hmm.
know that? Like wouldn't you want to know
Yes.
that you're not allowed
Who
to ask
sticks
for
around?
space in a relationship
Mm-hmm.
because they're going to feel some kind of way about it?
Yeah. And you might realize something too. You might come out of that the other side and be like, wait a second, maybe that person, da, 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 whatever. It might just
Yeah.
change the form of that relationship. It's being willing to have things revealed.
Yeah.
in that
I
space and
don't
time.
think I don't suspect it will change anything
Yeah,
because we have great relationships. But you're right. I might be like, wow, this break was really nice. Maybe I need longer, or maybe I
more
need to
time.
hang out less
Mm-hmm.
when we do start hanging out again, or whatever.
Yes,
I mean, I am a
yes.
projector in human design. I'm not meant to be around people all the time, you know?
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
I'm around people a lot.
Yeah, and I think this is just again the message, and then you're modeling for others to make authentic and decisions grounded in integrity for themselves in moving through their own fears and abandonment wounds, that we're not children anymore. We are
You know?
grown adults.
Yeah.
And mm,
And like when you start to prioritize your authenticity and your integrity above everything, like life gets a lot more fun. It really just does. It gets bigger. You're not playing small all the time. And
mhm,
yes, it's
mhm.
risky. Yes, it's risky. And the risks are scary, but not risking comes with its own cost too. And like
Yes.
I would rather pay the cost of the risk than pay the cost of the lie that lets me
Mhm.
say the same.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Such an incredible conversation.
Yeah, I feel like we went all
Before,
over the place.
yes, yeah, all and all such like valuable like gems to share from your from anger, from nervous system, from abandonment to functioning and over functioning. I do want to have us pick a card before we wrap up, and
Oh,
then I'll
okay.
have you share a little bit about the anger. Is it like a community, a cohort that you're
Yeah, it's a
doing?
cohort. It's called the Anger Lab.
Or
Yep. Hmm.
Anger Lab. Yeah. So let's
Hmm.
pick a card and
Okay.
then you can share that. So I
Okay.
pulled the Medicine Woman
I
Oracle
do not
deck.
have that deck. I'm excited.
Okay. Yes, it is beautiful. So I will shuffle. If one falls out, we'll use it. If it doesn't while I'm shuffling and you feel like, oh, that's the point to stop, just tell me. And oh, one fell out.
Okay,
So I think
perfect.
we're good. I think we're good. All right. We have the moon.
Oh, what a beautiful card.
Yeah, the artwork is stunning.
Reminds me of
The
Isis.
moon, it reminds you of what?
Isis, because of the wings.
Oh, yeah. So it says the moon. Lady Moon gives you the keys to mystery and other feminine power.
Like
And it's
anger.
number 34. Yeah, I mean, right? Like the moon is that like the darker emotions. So we didn't get the sun, right? We got
Hmm.
we got the
Yeah,
moon.
we got the
Ex
shadow.
we got the shadow. I will read what it says. All right. The moon. I expand, I wax and wane. I influence the tides, woman's cycles and birth, the moon goddess. Whipped long ago, can you feel how close we are? An ancestral story plays itself out between women and the moon. The priestesses worshipped Selene in connections with the creative and fertile power of Lady Moon. Our feminine cycle synchronizes with the cycle of the moon and the tides and reminds us of our deeply mysterious connections. Births are governed by the moon. Seemingly sober and softer moon lights the worlds of shadow, instinct, and the unconscious. The moon is the seat of women's fertile power. In the night, its gentle and benevolent power opens the doors to dreams and other realities. Guidance. The moon is an ally for your psyche and fertile power. The moon reminds you of its presence by your side. Perhaps you've forgotten your lunar, poetic, and sorceress self. Like the moon, you will fluctuate in the ebb and flow of your inner life, curious of the secrets hidden in the shadows and in the deeps. You may feel an irrational desire for another reality, of fairyland and spells. Call upon the moon for your projects. The new moon, the protective mother, acts like a charm to bring you abundance and responds favorably to your wishes. The moon takes you into the depths of your true nature. And then it offers, if you wanted to do like a new moon or full moon ritual, being able, let's see, like let a prayer, song, or dance rise up inside of you. You can put a bowl outside with water and a drop of moonstone in it, or you can take a moonlight bath, visualizing a white circle around you, and ask for your own lunar talent of creativity as a sacred woman to start to come up and out. And
Mm,
when you wake, write down what comes.
that sounds like an authenticity card.
Yes.
That sounds like an
Yes.
authenticity card. I love it.
Me too. That's beautiful. Yeah. So taking that in, just one with the moon and its cycles, the depths, the darkness, owning
Yeah.
owning the power, owning
And
your boundaries.
appropriate for a conversation about female anger.
Female anger.
Yeah.
Exactly. Female anger, authenticity.
Love
Well,
it.
me too. Well, yes, tell us about your cohort, how people can find you and reach you.
Okay. So yeah, starting February 26th is the first day of our what I'm calling the anger lab. And it's just a 4 week, literally like taking the information that we all have about anger, and instead of learning more information, 4 weeks of like, let's get together and practice in a low stakes, co-regulated environment. It's not your partner in front of you. It's me or it's someone else in the group, and we're going to role play. We're going to discern what integrity feels like in our body, what anger with integrity feels like within our body. I have an anger integrity sequence, which is like a way that when you're first new to embodying anger to get you what you want, and like you feel yourself getting pulled into the little girl anger or the mother anger or swallowing anger or whatever, I have like a sequence that will help you stay with yourself and still speak whatever you need to say in 5 sentences max. Like literally name what happened, the impact on you, what your standard is, what your boundary is, and if there's a consequence. Like that's it. It's a skeleton of something, and women can then later like fill in, obviously, because in relationships there's more room than 5 sentences to be able to have a conversation, right? But it's a way that women can stay with themselves and anchor into their own power without getting like lost in the trigger of anger or in the trigger of whatever their reaction is about
Sure.
anger. So yeah, we're just going to be doing teaching, coaching, role play, practice. I have a 26-page experiment guide that goes with it. And every week on Thursday for 4 weeks for 2 hours, we're going to get together and play with being authentic, being in integrity, and expressing anger. And people can find the Anger Lab at lindseylockett.com/anger lab.
Amazing. Ah, well, yes, I encourage everyone to check it out and to really, really soak in this conversation and the value of anger as it is a messenger, and it's there for your authenticity, your boundaries, and integrity.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite emotion.
Look at that. Right?
I really do.
Wouldn't usually think that, but it's like, yes, it's like to me more, it's like, it's the fire. Like it's my life. It's the aliveness.
Yeah, it's life force.
It's life force.
Yeah,
It's life
it
force.
is. Yeah. So no more tamping down your life force to be calm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gross.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Anything else that you want to share? Any questions?
No, this was super fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. I look forward to connecting more and just seeing what unfolds.
Yeah,
there
I'll have you on my show next.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, I'm going to thank everyone, invite everyone to comment, subscribe, like, and just show up for yourself. So thank you all so much for being here. You amaze me, and I love you.